Sturdy Mugger Boxing. We back with another one. I got to speak on this Tyron Woodley and Jake Paul fight that went down last night. Jake Paul got the split decision, in a close fight. They say it was a close fight. I feel as though Jake Paul won the fight 6 rounds to 2. I don't think it was a split decision. I think it was a unanimous decision. Jake Paul didn't look spectacular. I must say though, he's a pretty good boxer to be a guy that has no amateur career. He has 1 amateur fight, and he has 4 professional fights now. So, he looked pretty good, man. You could tell he's been training. You could tell he took the sport serious. And, Tyron Woodley looked okay. I didn't expect Tyron Woodley to even look that good. He survived for the whole 8 rounds. A lot of people thought he was going to get knocked out in 2 rounds. They believed the Jake Paul hype about him being this huge puncher because he knocked out Nate Robinson and the guy Gibb and Ben Askren. But I predicted the fight that Jake Paul was going to go to decision and win on the cards. It was no way that Showtime was going to, not give him the fight. As long as he stayed on his 2 feet and survived the whole 8 rounds, he was going to win a decision. And I predicted that, man. But, more on Jake Paul. Jake Paul is, I don't know if he's good or bad for boxing at this point. He had a sold-out arena. I must say that. He had Cleveland jumping last night. I don't know too many people that can have Cleveland jumping like that. So, shout out to Jake Paul for that. He put together a good boxing display. He hurt Willie a couple times. His footwork, like I said, his footwork ain't all there. But man, it's a good performance. And people trying to match him up with other boxers. The other boxers, who's out there for him? That's popular enough, that makes sense, that they can make big money with. And I don't really see nobody around the 200 weight class division. And we speaking on cruiserweight, a division that, that's not nothing in boxing. Nobody goes to watch a cruiserweight fight. And Jake Paul got the division jumping right now. I don't know if it was strategic in him joining the cruiserweight division because he knows there's no big time fighters in that division. But we got to give him credit for that. And Tyron Woodley, he was a good dude and good boxer in the MMA. It was a lot personal. It was personal going into the fight because of the whole situation where they was talking to his mom and they had an altercation, this and that. So I thought Tyron Woodley was going there and try to knock him out. He had a couple opportunities to do so, but Tyron Woodley is a guy that lost his last 4 fights in the MMA. He every fight he hurts his opponent, and then he wound up getting hurt himself. So the killer instinct wasn't there when he hurt Jake Paul in the 3rd or 4th round. He played it too cautious, and Jake Paul was able to get his bearings back and able to, survive the fight and actually put in some good work down the stretch. So, Tyron Woodley happy with the payday at the end of the day. You got to survive the whole 8 rounds, and if you want a rematch, and that's what he want. He want a rematch with Jake Paul. He want to do it again, and of course he want to do it again. But Jake Paul, I don't think he gonna want to do it again with him. Jake Paul, he said he's trying to take a break from boxing. He been active for the last 18 months. He had 4 fights in the last 18 months, and he need a break. And so he talking like he was in a real. That's how he was in a real scrap, because he wasn't talking like this when he fought Nate Robinson. He was ready to go again after he beat Nate Robinson, but he had some real trauma in there with Tyron Woodley. And if he fight anybody that's more experienced in the sport of boxing than Tyron Woodley, then he gonna be in some deep trouble, man. And they talking about him with Tyson Fury. Well, not Tyson Fury, Tommy Fury. Tommy Fury ain't that good. He was on the undercard, fighting Anthony Taylor, the guy that that's 0-1, and he couldn't even stop him. So, I mean, I guess that could be a big thing in the UK. Jake Paul, his fans travel wherever he want to go. So, Tommy Fury, he could probably pack out the UK and they can get it popping. But the options are slim for him, unless he's gonna go full celebrity boxing. He's too advanced for a celebrity to boxing. I know a lot of guys that's from the hood. They say, "Oh my God, I could beat him up," and people getting beat up by Jake Paul, this and that. Jake Paul will whoop the average civilian ass. Real rap. He got some skills. You can't take away from the kid having some skills, you know, but we just comparing him to the guys he calling out. He calling out Gervonta Davis, Canelo Alvarez, whoever else he called out. You know, he can't mess with them guys. But if another YouTube person want to get in the ring, then 9 times out of 10, he gonna whip their ass. I'm just being real about the situation. You know, being from the hood and from the suburbs, and it don't matter. None of that shit matters, you know, when you hop in that ring. So, you know, Jake Paul future is up in arms right now. You know, we gotta wait and see what the news gonna be. But overall, man, it was an entertaining card last night. I had fun. Stayed up all night, watched the card, and you know, I had fun, man. Tyron Woodley had some moments, and you know, 2 entertaining guys. But let me know what y'all think in the comments about the fight last night. How y'all scored the fight. What y'all think about Jake Paul and his future opponents, and you know, just let me know in the comments how y'all feel. We gone.